Hey everyone, this is my review of the GKD Pixel 2. So here it is. Let's take a look around. I love this. This is a battery indicator over here. You've got a menu button as well as power, L and R, L1, R2, L1, L2, R2, L. All right, let's try that again. You got the two L buttons and the R buttons. You've got value buttons. You've got a single SD card slot. This is running the RK3326 chip, I think, which makes it equivalent to about the R36S in terms of performance. And that's, a $20 device. This one obviously costs like $70. You're not really going to get discounts. But this is fairly small, which is nice. It's premium. It's made out of metal. There is no Wi-Fi, just like the other devices with the same chipset. I mean, it's a really beautiful device. This is what the grip looks like in my hand. I do think it's a bit wide, and I understand that the GKD Pixel original model, while it's far less powerful, it probably maxes out at about PlayStation 1. It is narrower, and you can see right here, single-handed operation. It's not great. Although it's, manageable, but it's it can almost pop out of my hand like that. The reason I bought this device is I wanted to be able to play like in a stealth kind of way, maybe out in public where people don't know that I'm playing with a device. So let's look at that. That's kind of what this looks like if I'm playing like this, single-handed. Someone looked behind me, it would look like that. So it does kind of look like a gaming device. In comparison, this is the RG Nano. If I was playing this in public, obviously this is much smaller and harder to play with, but this is what that looks like from the back. So obviously accomplishes that job much better. This is also got, it's metal, so it's hard on the hands. It's pointy, pretty pointy edges. I guess there's a kind of edge there, but it is pretty pointy. So yeah, it hurts the hands to squeeze. Now, if you play two-handed, that's a whole lot better. But if you're playing two-handed, then why do you need something like this, which is so small, when you could just play with something bigger, say an SP or, the XXH. I'm sure this device is for someone. Honestly, this device is, I love it, and I'm just not sure how practical it is, or what purpose it's going to serve for you. And that's kind of my point in terms of the physical dimensions of it, because it's a little bit too big to be small. It's a little bit small to be big. Yeah, you got the picture. This is the IUX launcher that it comes with, so let's talk about that. Pretty cool, right? What I don't like about this launcher, if you press the B button, well, actually that did kind of work this time, but if you go into, let's say, an emulator, or let's go to something, yeah, you can't exit from here with the B button. So now you have to press start, and now you have to press B to get out of that screen. So as you see, the buttons are kind of confusing. A goes in, B doesn't go out, start goes out of this screen, B goes out of the next screen. This launcher or something like this works great on an RG Nano that doesn't have too many buttons. On this, you really have all the buttons. So you could use Emulation Station, and I'm going to show you that. If you go into settings, I actually have it booting by default into Emulation Station, and they have a great theme. So let's do that. And here we go. It almost looks like the device was designed for this one. So I don't know why it boots into IUX by default. This looks great, like a retro TV. Anyway, yep, here are all the systems. Now B does exit out of these. For some reason, this is how the SD card came. Some of these systems have like A through M and N through Z, and B is the selected item and not the yellow one. So that could potentially be solved with a theme. And also there's no artwork on this system. There was on IUX, but again, this is Emulation Station, so you can just download them. That is, if there was Wi-Fi, which there isn't. So what you could do is buy a dongle, plug it into the USB-C. That'll give you Wi-Fi. I'm told it works with this, and at that point, you can download artwork. Or I guess you could just copy them onto the SD card if you know how to do that. What else? So this device is pretty powerful. Again, it's an RK3326, like the R36S. but obviously in a more premium looking device. Battery life is very decent on here. Yeah, we talked about the physical dimensions already, but what is this capable of? It's going to max out at like PSP, Dreamcasts, you know, some N64 is going to work too. And this plays ports quite nicely. Yeah, it's got Portmaster. So yeah, these games work quite nicely. A lot of these actually came pre-installed on the SD card. Yeah, I guess that's the story. The SD card on here looks amazing, so let me see if I can pop that out for you. But let's go shut this down. All right. Let's see if we can get the SD card out. I just want to show it off because it's something I've never seen in a retro handheld before. Look at that. A custom micro SD card. It says GameKitty on it. Isn't that nice? All right, that's it for the review. Again, just final take is I might hold on to this device because I just really like it, but I don't know how much I'm going to use it because it doesn't actually serve a purpose for me. It's a little bit too big to be that discrete gaming system for me. It's a little bit also hard on the hands, and I'm going to be too worried about damaging this or denting it because this is probably going to be a collector's item at some point. It's actually not bad if you just play it with two hands. It really isn't. So yeah, this could be, I guess, your everyday device. A little bit small for that, but totally usable. I've played Celeste on here. I've made progress in the game, so it's usable. This is a 2.8-inch screen. It's not bad. All right, I'm probably repeating myself at this point, so I'm gonna close this out. But yeah, that's my review. Oh, let's put it next to the RG Nano just for comparison. That's, you know, height. Let's go this way. Quite a bit taller. Thickness, probably similar. Yep. And put them alongside each other. That's, yeah, quite a big difference there. Obviously, this system is much more powerful and more usable, but harder to hide. I got some other devices here, so we may as well, right? This is the RG35XXH. So, yeah, a little bit taller, and obviously much wider. If you want to put it in your pocket, also going to fit a lot better. Thickness, and RG35XXH is one of the thinnest devices out there. And you know what? These are pretty much the same thickness. I'm not measuring them, but they're really close. Compared to the SP, or should I say the two SPs, right? This is a real SP. This is an Anbernic SP. So height, about the same. That's how much you've got extra sticking out. Width, I'm imagining, yeah, a little bit thinner, which is nice. This is kind of a tank compared to the original SP, so to the official SP. So that, yeah, this is almost twice as thick. Not quite, but a lot thicker. Height, we're looking at that, a little bit taller. And yeah, so this is very pocketable, but it's heavy. It does feel a little bit bulky. Not because it's bulky, but just because it's thick for its size, I would say. And yeah, let's do this again. This is my grip, right? All right, let's close this out. Thanks for watching.